Hey, it's Dr. Aaron with Main Move Chiropractic. If you have tightness in the backside of your hip, this is a really good way to help release it. I'll show you kind of a combination of things. What we're going to do is you're just going to take a tennis ball or lacrosse ball. You're going to put it around basically behind like where your back pocket would be. You're going to roll around until you feel that tender spot. Once you find a tender spot in the backside of that hip, or what they call a hot spot, you can either just hang out there and relax, or you can rock back and forth, maybe move forward and back. You can lift your leg, move your leg around a little bit to release it that way. The key is to not hang out on it too long. You want to try to release it, but don't get overly aggressive with it to make it more sore. Particularly if they're already sore from overactivity or from overuse. So if you've done a lot of squats or something of that nature, and your hips are really sore, and you get in there and release it with a ball really intensely, it might end up backfiring on you and make you more sore. So you're going to do that for about 15 to 20 passes over top. If you're going to kind of be walking or rocking back and forth, you'll do that for about 15 to 20 passes. And around an intensity of around 4 or 5 out of 10 intensity is what I recommend. If you can't do it laying on the floor, lean up against the wall and put the ball between your hip and the wall, and essentially you can do it that way. Another way to help to stretch the hip is to basically take and put your leg flat up against it. They call this like a pigeon stretch, right? What we're going to do is we're going to basically put our shin, outside part of our shin flat against the floor. We're going to rock the hips back. One thing that's really, really common is when people want to do this, when they rock the hips back, they roll in the back at the same time, which isn't necessarily the most efficient stretch for the hip. You can toy around with it a little bit to see how you kind of get into that hip stretch the best. But it's not always the most efficient. You don't want to essentially borrow range of motion from the lower back and not actually induce a stretching through the hip. So for the stretch, you're going to hold about 30 seconds. You can do that 3 to 5 times a day. For the lacrosse ball, you can do that probably once or maybe twice a day at about a 4 out of 5 intensity. And that should help with any hip tightness that you're having. If you have any questions or if you have any comments, please let me know. I wish you the best. Have a wonderful day and take care.